Hello, my fellow crafter friends, and especially the people from the Redeemable Junk Journal group that I'm on. This is my first video I'm posting, and it's going to be a craft that I'm going to make with you today. First thing I'm going to do is to show you the final product of what you're going to end up with, which is right here. It's a decorated piece of cardstock. I wish I could say that I painted that, but I didn't. I don't have that kind of talent, but I'm going to show you how to do it. Here's another sample. It's a smaller sample, and I'm going to show you how to do a smaller one as well. For today, you're going to need a pair of scissors, which I'm sure you all have, and parchment paper from the kitchen, any kind of plastic wrap that you want to use. You're going to need your cardstock, any color that you want and any size that you want. I have a small piece and a regular size 8.5 by 11 piece. You're going to need an ironing board or some sort of an ironing pad. I'm using a pad in this case, and you'll need an iron. The last thing you're going to need are beautiful napkins. You can pick out any napkins that you want. We recently had a swap on our Facebook group, and I got some really beautiful napkins from Cindy, my partner, and I sent some napkins as well. So these are the napkins that we're going to use today, and one of them is the same napkin type that I used in this picture here. The other one is of really cute little bunnies, and I like to use this one. I just fell in love with this napkin quite a while ago. And what we're going to do next is I'm going to tell you that the hardest part of this whole project is to try to get the plies off the ply that has the decoration on it for the napkin. Most napkins are either 2-ply or 3-ply. Most of them are 3-ply. And what you're going to have to do is somehow figure out how to get the white ply off the decorative piece, which is your final layer. How I had to do it is to make a little tear somewhere on the napkin and try to find the exact place that I can more or less get my fingernail in there and pick it off. Now, you might have a better way to do it, but I haven't figured it out. If you figure it out, please text me and let me know, or direct message me. This napkin I'm showing you that it's the same thing, that I'm taking the plies off, and this was a whole lot easier for some reason. But if you'll notice, I'm going to try to push this up really close. All these napkins have kind of a textured edge to them, and I think it's to somehow adhere the plies together, and that's why it makes it so tough, particularly around the edges, because the middle part of the napkin is smooth. It's the edges that have that texture, and sometimes that texture sticks more than the others. So I just took off the plies off this piece of a napkin. Actually, this is the whole napkin. And then this piece of a napkin. This is actually a guest towel napkin, so it's almost 2.5 times this size, but I cut it. And this is a regular size cocktail napkin, and I just took the whole napkin. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to turn my iron on so that it's hot. I've seen some people, or heard some people recommend a medium heat. You're going to have to test out your iron for temperature. But the last time I used an iron, and it wasn't this one, I had to use the heat up high. So we'll put it on medium and just see. So after your iron's hot, you're going to take a piece of parchment paper that is larger than your piece of cardstock, like this. It doesn't have to be that large, but I had already cut it. Make sure that it's a little bit larger than your piece of cardstock. You're going to lay that parchment paper on your ironing board or your ironing mat. The next thing you're going to do is place your cardstock on it. So you've got the parchment layer and then the cardstock layer. And your very next layer is going to come from your plastic wrap. And you know, I always have trouble getting this plastic off of here, but this one has the nice little tray with the blue little cutter thing. And I'm going to cut it about the size of the cardstock. It's probably a little bit bigger, but that's okay. And lay it directly on top of the cardstock and try to smooth it out as much as you can. So that's what it looks like. All right. And then you're going to take your napkin. I'm going to do this napkin here and lay it right side up. And I'm just going to put it in the middle of the cardstock. It is larger, it's smaller than the piece of cardstock, but that's okay because at the end you can cut it. This one I saved for you because I'm showing you that the napkin was larger than the cardstock, and you can just either rip that edge or you can cut that edge off. I'm going to take a second piece of parchment paper and I'm going to put it over the other layers, smooth it out, being very careful to cover all the plastic because you don't want the plastic to get on your iron. That's the second thing you have to be really careful of. I'm going to take my iron, and with pressure, you are going to basically, like you're ironing your dad's handkerchief or something. I used to iron my dad's handkerchief. My mom used to give me a nickel a handkerchief. I don't think people use handkerchiefs anymore. But anyway, you're going to move it around a bit to make it all kind of even, trying to get out any kind of pleats or darts in there. And then you've got to push down really hard all over each corner, particularly the edges, because those are the first things that kind of give you some trouble, are the edges and the corners. And if you want to test it out, you just kind of lift up and see. That's not ready yet. I can see some of the corner poking up there. So I'm going to continue on ironing, giving it some heat. Notice I do not use steam. No steam, just hot iron. And it's kind of between medium and very hot. All right, let me test out the corner. I just lift it up and see. I see one little bit of a corner coming up. Dang those corners. Keep ironing. Try a different corner. Nope, that one's coming up a lot. All right, so I'm just going to hold it down there. I know this works because I've tested it out before. I even use wax paper, and wax paper I don't like the way it works very well because it does kind of stick a little bit to the iron. It didn't stay on the iron, but it did just give me a little bit of a tug when I tried to iron it. Okay, that's looking much better. That one corner is just giving me the dickens. This is why you have to make sure that your parchment paper is larger than your plastic wrap, because you really want to hit those corners, and sometimes your iron angle won't completely hit it. That little corner again. I'm just going to leave it there for a second. What's happening is your plastic wrap is melting between the napkin and the cardstock. So you're getting a sticky undercoating. And I've seen napkins decoupaged, and you can certainly do that as well. But I like this transfer idea. Let's see what we got here. We're still getting that little corner. Move it up a little bit. Maybe I'll turn the iron a little hotter. Can always do that. And I don't even have this napkin on the cardstock straight. I wish I could say I did, but I didn't. So I think what's gonna happen is we're gonna do some cutting afterwards to make it nice and straight. And I would use scissors. I wouldn't use the cutter. I'm gonna make it really hot. The iron I was using right before this was my iron at home, and this actually is an iron where I work, and we use it for crafts. It's a good idea to use a different iron for crafts than you use for your clothes. All right, let's see what we have here. We have it except for a little edge up here. That's the only thing that's happening, and I don't know why that's happening. I'm going to do it a little bit more. Just going to leave it on there. I think my iron at home was hotter. And if you take the parchment paper off and you think it's ready, and then you find out when you're starting to cut that it's still coming up, you can always put the parchment paper back on and iron it some more. Aha, I think we got it. And this is your final product. It took a while, but I was patient, and it actually adhered all the way around. In fact, the plastic wrap adhered even though there's no napkin there. And I'm just going to take my scissors, and this isn't going to be straight because I don't have a ruler or anything, but I'm just going to cut this excess off. My napkin wasn't even cut straight. And what you have is a nice cardstock that is decorated instead of just plain white. Big difference. And it was cheaper. All it cost was a napkin and cardstock. I'm going to do one more for you. This time I'm going to do a little one. And it's going to be the bunnies. So I'm going to put that down, the cardstock. The parchment's already down. You can reuse your parchment several times. Put my plastic wrap down. You know, when I'm using a different plastic wrap than I was doing before, so I'm wondering if that might have a difference too. Because even though it's plastic wrap, and you say, well, what's the difference between that plastic wrap and that plastic wrap? This one came from Costco. The other one I had was Reynolds, and it seemed to have stuck better. So now I'm going to do the napkin face up. I'm going to put the parchment paper down, and I'm going to do the same thing all over again. And what I'll probably do is have someone edit out the weight so that you're not watching a video of me ironing, because that's very boring. This is a video for Technique Tuesday for our Facebook group. So this is a technique to use, and I'm going to be posting a new video every other Tuesday. And so in 2 weeks I'll be posting another video, and that will be a different technique. If you're in the Redeemable Junk Journal group, you can always join if you're not a member, but if you are a member, you can look on the calendar and you can see what we're doing next for July. We haven't really posted August yet. All right, let's see. Now this one, because I made the napkin and the plastic much larger. Oh, look how well this one ironed. Ooh, that's hot. You got to be really careful of that part. So that adhered really nicely. There's something about that napkin. There's something coating that napkin or something that made it harder. But this one didn't take hardly any time. And so I'm going to go ahead and when it cools, cut off the excess. A little bit harder to cut it off because of the plastic. Oh, and I see a little bit of the corner coming up, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back under the, and these scissors aren't that good. Make sure you have some good scissors. I'm going to go ahead and put it back under the parchment just to cut it, to heat it a little bit more. It's just that one edge. That's enough. Let it cool. Whew, it's hot. I love these bunnies. I got them during Easter, but I use them all the time. They make really cute little ephemera with lace, buttons. Next time I'll have my good scissors here. All right, so I pretty much cut it. Not the best cutting job in the world. The corner is still coming out. Let me just do a little bit more on that corner. This is the excess. You can save it if you want, but it's got plastic on the back, so I don't know if you'd ever use it, but if you do, go ahead and save it. I think I'm gonna throw mine away. All right. And this, I thought, would make cute little tags, so I'm going to try to cut this as straight as I can. I don't have a ruler or anything, so it's not going to be the best cutting in the world, the most straight cutting in the world, but I think it'll be okay. So you take this, you punch a little hole up at the top, tie a ribbon on it, and you've got a cute little tag. How cute is that? So you can do this size, you can do even smaller than this if you want. You can do this size, which is more like a card, the front of a card. You can do a bigger piece like this, which is a nice journal page actually. Or you can do something like this, which could be a double journal page. I can see it as a signature, part of a signature. So that's what you have today. I really enjoyed doing this video. I appreciated the fact that I have a cameraman that's helping me, and I think I'm going to talk him into editing this a little bit so that it comes out a little bit better for you. Anyway, that's my video, and I hope to see you next Tuesday. Let's see, today is the 11th, and so in 2 weeks that will be the 25th. So I will see you on the 25th. Bye everybody, thanks. Happy crafting.